Hi lovelies, you're welcome back to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber, you're welcome back and I appreciate. So I'm going to be drafting this beautiful top with built up neckline. So let's get started. So with me I have my pattern paper. Please go ahead and determine your own measurement. Okay. Now I've gone ahead to roll lines on my pattern paper. So the full length of my top is 26 inches. Okay. Now I'm going to mark the 26 inches point like so. So from this first line here that I have my tape on, I'm going to label this my shoulder line. Then I mark down to the 26 inches point for my full length line. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to mark my shoulder to my bust point. So I'm going to label this my bust line. Then I'll mark from my shoulder to my under bust point as well. And then from my shoulder to my front waist line. Now, if you notice at the top of this my shoulder line, I'm going to be coming up by 2 inches. Now, this area will be where I'm going to be extending the built up neck line. Okay, so I mark 2 inch upwards and then I roll a straight line there. Now, I'm going to be taking my shoulder measurement divided by 2 will give me 8 inches. I'll mark the 8 inches point on the shoulder line like so, and then I'll make use of 3 inches for the neck wideness, and then I will come down by 2.5 inches for the neck depth. Now for this tutorial, for this dress, you can come down for the neck depth by 2 inches as well. It's still fine. Okay, so mine I made use of 2.5 inches for the neck depth. Now I'll go ahead and connect the points like so. Then on that 8 inches point on the shoulder line, I'm going to come down by 1 inch to get my shoulder slope. So I'll connect that point now to my neck wideness. Now after doing that, the next thing I will do is to take my armhole circumference divided by 2 will give me 8.5 inches. I'll mark the point like so and then I will connect it to the shoulder slope point. And I'll also go ahead to roll a straight line like this, and this line will be serving as my chest line. Now the next thing I will do is to divide what I have for my armhole measurement by 2, and then I'll mark the midpoint. Then from that midpoint I will go in by half of an inch. I'll take my bust circumference divided by 4 on my chest line. I'll mark the point there and then I'll go ahead to connect the front armhole like so. So after connecting the front armhole like that, I'm going to be dividing my nipple to nipple measurement of 8 inches by 2, which I have 4 inches. From my bust line here, I'm going to mark the 4 inches. And then on my full length line, I'm going to mark 2.5 inches as the dart. Now because this dress has like a slanted dart, okay? Now I'll go ahead and connect the point like so. Now the next thing I will do, this is my center front, this is my side front. I just went ahead to label it. Now from the full length line here, I'm going to mark half inch on the full length line, half inch on the under bust line, half inch on the front waist line. Then on the side front, I'm going to mark 1.5 inches from my under bust line to the full length line. Now if you're on a bigger size, please make use of 2 inches and 2.5 inches, like if you have bust. Now the next thing I'll do is to go ahead and connect those points together like so. So after I'm done connecting the points like that, the next thing I'll do is to come down from my bust line on the dart like by 1 inch, and then I'll go ahead to connect it like so. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to connect from this point here to the middle part of the armhole. Now I'll go ahead use my roller to connect the points like so. So after connecting the point from this my armhole part here, I'm going to come down by 2 inches and I'll mark the point there. Then I will go ahead to reconnect it to my bust line. So after connecting it like so, I'm just going to blend this up. The next thing I'm going to do is to come up from here in a slanted method by 2 inches. I'll mark the point there and then I will extend the line to that 2 inches point I came up by. The next thing I will do now is to take my bust circumference divided by 4. I'll mark the point there, and then I'll replace the dart intake of 2 inches here. Then I'm going to go ahead and connect this as my new armhole. After doing that, the next thing I'm going to do is to take my front waist circumference divided by 4. I will replace the dart intake of 2 inches. Then on the full length, I'll take my hip circumference divided by 4. I'll mark the point there, and then I'll add extra 1 inch for ease. Okay, you can add half inch for ease as well. Okay, now I'll go ahead and replace the dart intake of 2 inches. Now I'll go ahead to connect the points together like so. So after doing this, the next thing I'm going to do is to give this like a conical shape. So I'm going to use my pencil first to mark this to make sure I have that conical shape that I want before I will use my marker to outline it. Okay, so I'll go ahead and outline it like so. This line will no longer be using. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is from the bust line here, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches, and that's the difference between my front half length and my back half length. Now I'll go ahead and roll a straight line like so. So I'm going to be closing up the side that later on. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to work on the built up neckline. Okay, from this my neck part here, I'm going to mark half of an inch, and then from this other side, I'm going to be marking quarter of an inch. So half of an inch on this side, quarter of an inch on this other side. Now I'll go ahead and measure what I have from this point here. So what I have is 2.5 inches. I'm going to measure it on the upper line here. I'll measure that 2.5 inches. I'll mark the point there, and then I'll go in with my curve rule to connect the built up neckline like so. Now I'll go ahead to outline my shoulder line and then my armhole line, so this will be more visible and understandable. Now the next thing I will do is to come in from here by 1 inch. I'll mark the point there, and then I'll go ahead use my marker to connect it from that top part to that 1 inch point I came in on the neck area. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to rule a straight line across this middle armhole part. Okay, now from that point I'm going to go in by 3 inches just to get that opening around the chest area. Now I will mark the point there, and then I will go in with my pencil to connect it from this point here to that point I mark across the middle part of my armhole. Now after doing that, the next thing I will do is to go in for the center front from my chest line by half of an inch. Now I'll go ahead to use my pencil to connect to this point I have here on my chest line. So if you don't want this to be too up, just go up from your chest line by 1 inch and then connect it like so. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do from the under bust line here, I will go in on the center front by 1.5 inches, and then I will connect it like so to the under bust line. Now from the front waist line, I'm going to come up on my center front by 1 inch, and then I will go ahead to continue with my pencil to connect to that point like so. Okay, now after using my pencil to connect to the point, the next thing I will do is to use my marker to outline those points. So it's very important to use your pencil first to get the shape before using your marker to outline it. Okay, now after doing that, the next thing I'm going to do is to extend this neckline like so. Okay, now this part is for the net, so I'm going to be cutting this on fold. Okay, so you're supposed to cut this on fold. This is the part that has the transparent net. Okay, and then this part is the fabric. You're going to cut this part also on fold. But on the side front, I'm going to cut times 2 of it. Now I'll go ahead to close the side dart. So I'm going to be cutting through my bust line like so to this point here, and then I'll go ahead to close the side dart using my tape to tape this in place. So after I'm done closing the side dart, I'm going to be merging these two darts together like so. And then from my full length line, I will go up on the center front by 3.5 inches. Now you can make use of 3 inches, is still okay. Now I will mark the 3.5 inches on this point here, and then I will use my pencil to draw out the shape that I want. Then from the full length line, I will go in by 5 inches at this point here, and then I will go ahead to give it the other side shape. Now after doing this, I will use my marker to outline it. Now after outlining it, this is what I have. I'll go ahead to cut the front out. Now if you notice, I did not add my body allowance on this pattern paper. So go ahead to add yours when cutting on your fabric. You can add 2 inches for the body allowance plus your half inch sewing allowance, that is 2.5 inches. Now go ahead to cut out this neck part, that is for the lace, that's transparent lace at the front. Now I will continue to cut out the side front. Now after cutting out the side front, like I said, I didn't add my body allowance while drafting it on my pattern paper. So just go ahead and blend this side. We took the side dart, so go ahead and blend it back, okay, so that you will not have any shortage there. Now after doing this, this is what I have for the front piece. As you can see, this is for the lace part. So you are going to be cutting this on fold. Okay, that is a transparent lace part. Then you cut with half inch stitching allowance all around. Now for this part, you're going to be cutting it on fold as well with half inch stitching allowance all around. Then this is all for the front piece. I'll go ahead to draft the back pattern. Now for the back pattern, I've gone ahead to mark my body measurement, and then I went in by 1.5 inches to get my zipper allowance. So I'll just go ahead and outline the line like so. Now the full length of my top is 26 inches. Now remember, the half length of the back and the front is not the same thing. So for mine, the half length is shorter with 1.5 inches. Okay. Now I'll go ahead and minus that 1.5 inches from 26 inches, and I will have 24.5 inches. Now that is my back length for this top. Okay, now I'll go ahead and mark that 24 inches point. So this is my shoulder line where I place my tape from. Then I will mark down to 24.5 inches for the full length line. So go ahead and measure yours to know the difference. Now I'll go ahead and come down by 11 inches for my bust line. Then I'll come down by 16.5 inches for my waistline. So now this is where the shortage of that 1.5 inches is coming from, because of the difference between the back half length and the front half length. Okay, so go ahead and measure yours to know the difference. Now from the shoulder line point here, I'll come up by 2 inches, and this 2 inches is for the built up neckline. So I'll go ahead and rule a straight line there. The next thing I'll do now is to take my body measurement from the zipper allowance line. Now I'm going to take my shoulder measurement divided by 2 will give me 8 inches. So I'll go ahead to mark the point there, and then I'll be making use of 3 inches for the neck wideness, then 1 inch for the back depth. Now I'll go ahead and connect the neck points like so. So after connecting the neck point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch from this 8 inches point, and then I will connect it to the neck wideness. So this is from my shoulder slope. Now I'm going to take my armhole circumference divided by 2. I'll mark the point there, and then I will connect it this way to the shoulder slope point. I'll also rule a straight line like this, and this will be for my chest line. Now after doing that, I'm going to take my bust circumference divided by 4. I'll mark the points there, and then I will go ahead to divide what I have from my armhole area by 2. I will get the midpoint, and then I will connect the back armhole like this. After doing that, I'm going to take my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 gave me 4 inches. So from my chest line, I'm going to mark it all the way to the full length line. Now I'll go ahead and connect the points together like so. So after rolling the dart line, on my back waistline, I'm going to mark half inch on both sides of the dart. Then from the full length line on the dart leg, I'll come up by 1.5 inches. Now I will connect the darts like so. So after doing that, I'm going to be cutting out this side. The next thing I will do is to connect from this point here to the middle of the armhole. So this is to give it that same princess dart shape, okay, for the dart. Now the next thing I will do is to take my bust circumference divided by 4. I'll mark the points there, and then I will take my waist circumference divided by 4. I'll mark the points there, and then I will replace the dart intake of 1 inch. And then on my full length line, I will take my hip circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inch for ease, which I said you can make use of half inch as well. Now there is no dart to be replaced on the full length line for the back pattern. So I'll go ahead now and connect the body points like so. Now after connecting the body points, I'll use my pencil to create that same conical shape that I created for the front pattern. Now after using my pencil to get the shape that I want, I'll use my marker to outline it. Now after doing that, we'll no longer be making use of this particular line here. The next thing I will do is to outline this with my marker, the armhole area. So after doing this, I'll just mark out the shape at the down part of this dress like so. So I'm using my pencil to do that, then I'll use my marker to outline it. And this is the shape that this dress have at the back part. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is from this my zipper allowance part on the waistline, I will go in by half of an inch, and then I will connect it like so. This is to avoid any zipper bulginess. Okay, so after doing that, I'm just going to extend this my full length line like so to the zipper allowance area. Now I'm going to be cutting this part off. So if you notice, I did not add my body measurement when drafting this particular dress. So go ahead to do that on your fabric. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to work on the neck part. Now from this side here, I'm going to mark half of an inch. Then from this other side here, I'm going to mark quarter of an inch. That is 0.25. So now I'm going to measure from this point to this my zipper allowance line on the shoulder line like so. So I have 2.5 inches. I'll mark that same 2.5 inches on the line above my shoulder line. And then I'll go ahead to connect it like so. Now I'm just going to outline my shoulder line and my armhole line. So after I'm done doing that, the next thing I will do is to come down by half of an inch from this first line I have here beside the zip line, like so. And then I will go ahead to connect it this way. And I'm going to extend it to the zipper allowance area. Now that is all for the back built up neckline. So I'm going to be cutting times 2 of the center back, then times 2 of the side back. Then I'll go ahead to cut out the back pattern. So this is all for the back pattern and also for this top. So go ahead and add half-inch stitching allowance all around, and then for the side add your seam allowance and your body allowance as well, because I didn't add this when drafting on the pattern paper. Okay, so at this point, if you've not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, comment and share. I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now, and thanks for watching.